to the crash in Alberta. I mean, it's a tragedy. It's a nightmare of every parent, every teammate, family, friends, and my heart goes out to obviously to the families of the victims and the team.
En français, Monsieur Carney.
En français, en Alberta, c'est une tragédie. C'est le cauchemar de toutes les familles, tous les membres d'équipe, des amis, et mes pensées sont avec les familles, l'équipe et la ville.
Are you meeting with Mr. Polyev?
I am, yes.
Madame, le ministre, qu'est-ce que vous pensez de l'éditorial du Globe and Mail qui disait que grâce à vos cibles d'immigration francophone ou à cause de vos cibles d'immigration francophone et des immigrants qualifiés anglophones qui ne rentrent pas au pays, c'est mal pour l'économie?
On est très fiers de nos bilinguismes ici au Canada. C'est une chose qui est très unique pour nous. Et mon mandat est de travailler pour améliorer l'immigration francophone ici. Et je continue à faire ça.
Est-ce que vous suivez au Québec le programme d'expérience québécoise? Le Québec abandonne son programme d'expérience québécoise, le PEC. Il y a beaucoup d'immigrants qui perdent leur statut au Québec. Est-ce que le fédéral peut faire quelque chose pour ces gens-là?
J'ai eu une réunion avec le ministre Robage le vendredi. Excusez-moi.
Vous pouvez prendre votre temps, pas de souci, pas de souci. Ça va?
Oui. Alors, j'ai eu une réunion avec le ministre Robage le vendredi passé, ou le jeudi passé. Et je suis en train de travailler avec lui pour faire tout ce que je peux faire comme ministre fédéral. Mais le Québec a le seul pouvoir pour tous les programmes économiques dans sa province. Alors, c'est nécessaire pour lui à travailler avec nous aussi.
Mais ce que Québec dit, c'est
non,
que
merci.
le renouvellement des permis. Excusez-moi, vous pouvez poser ma question.
Questions? You have a strategy, but
Yes.
we're expecting to be soon. Do you have an ETA on when it's going to be coming out? And can you talk about if the decision's been made to scrap or restructure the EU mandate, or what will happen with that?
So, of course, we're coming up with an auto strategy. It's important because we know our auto workers are right now feeling the brunt of the U.S. unjustified and unjustifiable tariffs. Of course, I've been thinking a lot and working a lot on making sure that the workers that have been affected by the loss of the third shift at GM in Oshawa be at the core of our new investments we're working on. I was in contact with Premier Ford this morning again, and with Vic Fideli again, as we're working to find solutions for the auto workers. When it comes to the auto strategy itself, when it will be ready, and you'll be the first one to know. Donc, mon collègue, le ministre des Transports, Stephen MacKinnon, est en communication avec plusieurs intervenants dans le dossier. J'ai parlé encore hier avec Éric Martel, le PDG de Bombardier. C'est un fleuron québécois et canadien qui est très, très important pour nous, et nous allons tout faire, bien entendu, pour soutenir la compagnie et le secteur aéronautique. Entre-temps, vous savez, nous avons donné un contrat de 6 avions à Bombardier au mois de décembre dernier, qui va faire en sorte justement qu'il va pouvoir avoir un maintien d'effectifs. Je suis également en contact avec la présidente du syndicat de Unifor, Lana Payne, qui représente autant le secteur automobile, qui représente également les employés chez Bombardier. Et on va être là pour autant les employés dans le secteur de l'automobile que dans le secteur de l'aérospatiale.
On electric vehicles, is the mandate remaining and are incentives coming back?
So, as you know, the auto strategy is being worked on, and these are different conversations we're having, and when we'll be ready to announce it, you'll be the first one to announce it.
L'argent que vous réclamez à Stellantis et GM, avez-vous dit c'était combien que vous réclamez d'eux?
Donc, l'objectif, lorsque vient le fait de rapatrier des fonds qui ont été donnés à ces compagnies en échange de promesses de leur part d'augmenter leur présence au Canada, était justement de faire en sorte qu'on puisse revoir notre argent, notre évaluation. Présentement, c'est dépendamment de la situation, c'est des centaines de millions. On aura l'occasion de donner plus d'informations sur eux là-dessus.
Est-ce que c'est subvention qui avait été versée?
C'est une très grande partie des sommes. Vous savez qu'une grande partie des sommes était liée à la production. Donc, s'il n'y a pas de production, bien entendu, il n'y a pas eu d'argent qui a été versé.
Stephen Harper's portrait's going to be...
Do you mind just repeating that in English? You're going to try to claw back money from Stellantis for the fact that they're pulling out production.
So I've already said that we would get our money back from Stellantis and also from GM. We're in evaluation mode right now as to how much. Of course, a lot of our support was linked to production, and therefore, if there was no production, obviously there was no funding. And so that's what we are focused on, and I'll have more to say on Stellantis in the coming days. And we're also in contact with GM. At this point, when it comes to GM also, back in December, we decided to reduce their emission quotas. Basically, the amount of cars they can bring to Canada without tariffs have been reduced because obviously they've decided to shut down Ingersoll, and now they're going after the third shift in Oshawa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper's legacy.
Puis les incitatifs sur les véhicules électriques, est-ce que ça pourrait faire partie de cette stratégie?
Bien, sur la question de la stratégie automobile, notre objectif est de l'annoncer dans les prochains jours. Vous aurez l'occasion d'entendre plus d'informations sous peu et on aura pris des décisions là-dessus d'ici là. Donc, vous êtes les premiers à le connaître, à le savoir. L'autre chose concernant les questions de rémission et de financement, dans le fond, du secteur automobile, on est en train d'évaluer les sommes qui vont être associées au remboursement que l'on va réclamer de la part de Stellantis. On a des conversations également avec GM. L'appui à ces compagnies-là est en fonction de la production aussi. Donc, s'il n'y a pas eu de production, il n'y a pas eu d'argent qui a été déversé par le gouvernement fédéral. Donc, c'est pour ça que on est en train de finaliser les sommes qu'on réclame, mais sachez que c'est quand même des centaines de millions de dollars.
Merci. Stephen Harper, what's his legacy?
The budget didn't have money in it specifically for bringing back the EV rebates, the EV incentives for consumers. But sources are telling us that there are talks of potentially bringing them back. How would that work? Would it be a rebate? What's being considered?
Well, listen, I don't want to speculate. As finance minister, it's a good thing not to speculate about the future. What is in the budget is in the budget. As you know, the government has been looking also as putting a strategy to support the sector. The auto sector is a very important sector in the country, employs hundreds of thousands of people, and Canada is one of the few G7 countries which still have an auto sector. And that's very important. You know, if you look at the G7 countries and beyond, even in the G7 plus, very few countries have maintained, can build planes, build cars, build ships. Canada has this unique position to have the talent, to have the supply chain. You think about the Linamar, the Magna, the Martin Real, we have a big supply chain when it comes to the sector. So that's why we put a strategic fund to support industries across the country. And certainly we have always been there. You remember when we brought also the future, which I think our North Star is still towards electrification. So we have a number of companies which have joined in this ecosystem of building the car of the future.
Are incentives on the table, and can we afford them?
Listen, like I said, when you're finance minister, you don't speculate on the future. But what I say, we've always been there to support our workers, the auto sector. And you remember, when I was industry minister, we already started to look at the industry of the future. And everyone understand when you shift technology, history tells us, if you've been doing the same thing for 100 years and now you shift to new technology, well, there's consumer adjustments, there's technology adjustments, there's market adjustment. And I've always reminded people, if you look at the Model T of Ford, it was not a success overnight. Tesla took 17 years to be profitable. So you have shifts in the market that you see, not only in Canada, but globally and particularly in the OECD countries. But one thing for the workers is that we've always been there for them. We've always been there for the sector. We understand the importance of that sector for the Canadian economy. Il y en a toujours. Écoutez, l'industrie aérospatiale, c'est clé. Comme je l'ai dit, on est un des rares pays du G7 encore à avoir une industrie aérospatiale. Il y a très peu de pays dans le G7 qui ont une industrie aérospatiale aussi développée que celle du Canada. Prenez Montréal. Montréal est hôte des trois plus grands manufacturiers, Boeing, Bombardier et Airbus. Alors, nous, on a un avantage comparatif. On a des chaînes d'approvisionnement On a l'écosystème des moteurs, des trains d'atterrissage. On a même la fabrication d'hélicoptères. Le plus grand manufacturier Bell Hélicoptère à Montréal pour les hélicoptères commerciaux. Bien, on a toujours été là. Il y a des fonds qui sont disponibles pour amener l'industrie vers l'avenir, mais on a toujours été là, c'est sûr, parce que ça, c'est clé dans l'économie non seulement de Montréal, mais dans l'économie québécoise et canadienne. Merci. No, but I look forward. This afternoon, 6:30, and it's free, so you're welcome to come. Tickets are free. 6:30, I think 7:30. But it's good, you know. We'll see what the Conservative group say. I'll believe it when I see it.
Good morning. After the summary, the fact that they're going to bring one together.
I think the good news is we have a very good process in place which has been accelerated to downsize from 5 potential bidders to 2, and now the Defense Agency is doing its job in pursuing industrial benefits and negotiating its way forward. That's a good thing.
The other big decision that your department has to make is about the after-the-fact. Postra saying that there could be potential consequences if we don't follow through with all of them. How much more challenging does it make this decision, and when will that be made?
I had a very good, productive 2-hour meeting with Ambassador Hoekstra 2 weeks ago. We discussed many issues around Canada-U.S. relations. Of course, defense was a key to that discussion. We also spent a lot of time reviewing what Canada is doing in the Arctic and the significant investments that are going into the Arctic, like our over-the-horizon radar system, for example. He was very interested in learning more and bringing more details back to the United States, so it was a very good discussion. The F-35 and the acquisition of a fighter fleet jet remains under review.
Où sont les discussions sur le Golden Dome, le dôme doré, le Golden Dome que veut Trump? Où en sont les discussions là-dessus?
Écoutez, nous avons indiqué il y a quelques mois que nous sommes ouverts à une discussion productive avec le secrétaire Hegseth, et c'est une discussion qui continue.
Ça a progressé.
Pardon?
Ça a progressé? Il y a des
Non, on continue, ça prend du temps. Il y a un dialogue, ça prend du temps. Comme on dit en anglais, it's Integrated Air and Missile Defense, IAMD. Et on parle de Continental Shield, comme on dit, un bouclier canadien. C'est la version canadienne. Donc, on est en train de voir tout ce qui touche nos relations. On prend ça avec discipline.
On peut faire confiance aux Américains pour ce projet-là ou les
on
autres?
travaille avec nos collègues aux États-Unis dans le domaine de la défense, du renseignement, de la sécurité, et ça continue.
Why is the military going to the U.S. for this F-35 ceremony when a decision hasn't been made up and there are new tariff threats coming from the U.S.?
Well, first of all, let's remind Canadians we have acquired 16 F-35 fighter jets. And the head of the Air Force will be there as part of the process of rolling these planes off the production line. We have Canadian pilots that will begin their training in Arizona. This is part and parcel of what we committed to doing. The question of further acquisition of that fleet remains under review.
Monsieur McGuinty, au commentaire de M. Air hier, le général Air sur le nucléaire. Qu'est-ce que vous avez à dire par rapport aux commentaires?
Écoutez, j'ai beaucoup de respect pour le général Air. C'est un homme qui a bien servi son pays, qui a mis des dizaines d'années dans les forces armées canadiennes. Mais Canada a aucunement l'intention de poursuivre des armes nucléaires.
Par rapport à l'indépendance militaire du Canada, est-ce que le Canada peut être pleinement indépendant sur le plan militaire sans l'arme nucléaire, selon vous?
Absolument. On est en train de reconstruire notre armée canadienne et réinvestir. On est en train de poursuivre des plans qui sont vraiment compréhensifs. L'Arctique, le recrutement, la rétention, les bases militaires, tout est sous revue et tout est en train d'être rebâti.
Why do we not need nuclear weapons in review? Why do we have no intention to get them?
Because Canada is a signatory to international treaties which preclude us, number one, and Canada has been a non-nuclear proliferation state for a long time. I worked on it previously as a lawyer. The point is that we are going to continue to build conventional weapons. We're going to continue to rearm. We're going to continue to reinvest. We're going to continue to rebuild our Canadian Armed Forces, and we're doing that.
The end of the New START Treaty.
Has a decision been made yet on whether or not Canada will send more troops to Greenland to do a sovereignty exercise with the Danes? That was on the Prime Minister's desk, according to sources.
No decision's been made on that front. Look, we've had participation with NORAD in a number of settings. We've had aircraft, helicopters, for example, in Alaska last week. We've had the Coast Guard back and forth to Greenland, and we'll continue to pursue those responsibilities, a Coast Guard vessel. So those are things that we're watching. I think the Governor General and the Minister are going to be there today, if I recall, opening up a new location for us in terms of diplomatic representation. That's a good thing for us, good thing for Canada, good thing for our Danish-Canadian relationship. So we're obviously building together in the North. We're working with a number of Northern colleagues, Northern states. We have agreements. We are looking at inviting more countries to join us in our exercises in the North, in the Arctic, which come up this couple of weeks from now. So, look, we're moving forward. We're keeping this very disciplined.
Are you concerned about the end of the New
Sur le
Start?
Groenland, est-ce qu'il y a une intention encore de peut-être envoyer des soldats canadiens?
En français, pardon?
Sur le Groenland, l'intention
Écoutez, on est en train d'exercer nos responsabilités. On a le ministre et la gouverneure générale qui sont là, je pense, aujourd'hui ou demain. Donc, c'est un grand moment pour le Canada. Il y a un grand moment qui indique que nous sommes, évidemment, nous appuyons le Danemark au niveau de la souveraineté et leur intégrité territoriale. Donc, voilà ce que ça indique et on verra.
The end of the New Start Treaty, the expiration, are you concerned about that? The expiration potentially on Thursday of the New Start Treaty on limiting nuclear missiles between Russia and the U.S.?
I am not aware of it, but I'll look into it.
Thank
you.
Hi there. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, the Prime Minister announced that I would be the ministerial lead with respect to the Build Back in Jasper, Alberta. And my role in that capacity will be to make sure I coordinate the federal government response involving Parks Canada, involving CMHC, and that I work with the province and with the municipality, the mayor of Jasper, to make sure that we build Jasper back better than before. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be really happy to answer them.
Can you talk a bit about what assistance you're offering the community of Saskatchewan?
I'm sorry?
Can you talk a bit about some of the assistance that you're offering the community of Saskatchewan as they're dealing with their water crisis and the evacuations?
So with respect to that community, there was not a request for federal assistance. So any information about what's happening there, I think, would be better asked of the Emergency Management Minister in that province.
You're a minister from Alberta. Can I pick up your mind on the Alberta separation thing? Do you believe it's a thing?
Well, do you know what I can tell you is that when I go home, as I did last weekend, and I spend time in my riding, what I hear from people is that they are proud Canadians, that they want our government to work together with the other provinces. People understand this is a time when it's really important for the country to be unified. And so those are the strong voices I hear when I go home. I know there are some people that have some disenchantment with the federal government, but you know, to my way of thinking, the solution is not separation. And I think, you know, when we listen to the Prime Minister, he's been really clear that he wants to collaborate and work with all of the provinces.
It's not serious. We shouldn't take that seriously, basically.
I'm sorry?
We shouldn't take that seriously, basically, this movement, is what you're saying.
So I think we should take it seriously because there are some voices. There is a group in Alberta, but I think, you know, on the other side of that, I'm telling you what I hear in my writing. We need to listen. I think we need to listen always to people's frustrations. But what I'm saying is that separatism is not the answer. And this is especially the case at this point in time for our country when we really need to be unified and we need to be a strong country. And that's what the Prime Minister is saying. And I think he's done an amazing job with the various premiers. I think when they left the First Minister's meeting a while ago, they were very united, and that includes the Alberta Premier with respect to the importance of unity at this point in time.
The Prime Minister is expected to meet with Mr. Poilievre. What do you want to see come out of that meeting?
I'm sorry?
The Prime Minister is expected to meet with Mr. Poilievre. What are you hoping to come out of that meeting?
Well, do you know, to me, what I would like the most, I guess, is a commitment for the Conservatives to work together with us, because I think it's really important. As I said, this is an important moment in our history, and Canadians want their politicians to work together. They want us to do what's in the best interest of all Canadians, and so I really hope what is engendered at that meeting is a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. And that doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. There'll be times when we need to disagree. That's the job of the opposition, is to point out when we're not doing our job properly. But
do you expect a
yes.
significant amount of reconstruction down in Jasper this summer? This is the coming construction season.
I'm sorry?
Are you ready for the coming construction season in Jasper in terms of getting homes rebuilt?
For the construction season?
Yeah.
There are some difficulties in Jasper, absolutely, with respect to construction. It's not a construction town. Like, there aren't any companies that operate there, and that makes the build back, that's what part of what makes the build back quite complicated. We will be working, as I've indicated, with the mayor and with the province, and certainly me, in terms of being the point person for various government departments, to make sure that we get the people of Jasper back in their homes as absolutely quickly as possible and out of interim housing solutions.
Just a quick question on Alberta separation. Do you agree with the BC Premier who's accusing some people of treason?
I don't think that's a really helpful discussion, and I think from my perspective, the important thing is that we work. We don't need to agree with everything that the Alberta Premier says, but we do need to collaborate. Where we have shared goals and ambitions, we need to work together with other premiers, and that includes the Premier of Alberta.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Ben, attendez, là, sur Bombardier, évidemment, on a une relation avec la FAA qui remonte des décennies. Il y a de la collaboration, non seulement nord-américaine, mais mondiale, en matière de certification d'avions. Cette collaboration a été très, très fructueuse et va continuer. Pour ce qui est de Bombardier, évidemment, ce sont parmi les meilleurs produits au monde.
Pouvez-vous dire aux Canadiens qu'il n'y aura effectivement pas d'interdiction de voler aux États-Unis et il n'y aura pas de tarifs supplémentaires? Est-ce que vous avez eu une garantie de l'administration américaine?
Ce que je fais, c'est je communique avec tous les acteurs, tous les manufacturiers, et nous protégeons l'intégrité de notre système de certification. Des garanties de l'administration américaine.
Do you take the decertification threat seriously, sir? Do you think, we've seen President Trump put a lot of threats against Canada. Do you think this is a legitimate?
What I think is that we have a system of certification of airplanes that is North American in scope. We have great cooperation with the FAA. We have for decades. We have great cooperation with European regulators. That will continue. My job as Minister of Transport is to guarantee the safety of airplanes that fly in Canada. We're working with manufacturers all the time on getting their planes certified as they come to market, and we'll continue to do that.
So what are the issues with those Gulfstreams that are not certified?
Well, again, the certifiers do that work, but we are obviously
You surely checked in on what's holding these things up.
We're communicating with both the manufacturers and all of the people in the industry to make sure that everyone understands the timelines.
Is it de-icing? Is that the concern?
I'll refer you to certifiers for that.
Juste pour la rencontre de M. Carney avec Poiliev, c'est quoi l'objectif? Comment vous voyez ça? Mais dans le contexte de ce qui s'est passé lundi sur l'approbation pour passer plus vite le crédit TPS.
Oui, M. Carney rencontre régulièrement les chefs de l'opposition. On est en contexte minoritaire, évidemment. On veut trouver, là où c'est possible, des terrains d'entente.
What's going on with the floor crosses? You talking with more people? How are you feeling about the potential for more conservatives to come in?
What I know when I wake up in the morning is we're in a minority parliament, and we're in a minority parliament today.
Just on the meeting with...
des conservateurs, ça fonctionne jusqu'à présent parce que quand même hier ils ont une motion qui a été adoptée par consentement unanime là, pour C19.
Oui, on leur a demandé de traiter avec empressement l'enjeu pour l'abordabilité, ce qu'ils ont accepté de faire.
Just on the meeting with Poiliev between the Prime Minister and him, can you just repeat in English, what are you hoping comes from that? And are you getting any support from the Conservatives to pass the budget?
The Prime Minister seeks meetings with opposition leaders all the time. That will continue. We're in a minority context. We're looking for areas where we can agree on things and move things forward. We asked the Conservatives to move forward quickly on our affordability measures. They accepted to do that. Maybe we'll find some other things.
How quickly can we expect the GST to pass?
Wednesday, I believe, yeah.
Can I just make sure on the Gulfstream jets? So have you just to make sure I understand? Have you checked in on this process? Do you have any idea of like where this process is at right now and how long it may take?
I do not interfere with this process. Obviously, I have checked in with this process. I've communicated with manufacturers to the extent that any ambiguities or misunderstandings may have existed. I think they've been dissipated, and we'll continue to work on that.
Have you communicated with your American counterparts on this issue? If so, what have you said?
I've communicated with a number of people on this issue.
Juste sur ces 19, donc ça va passer mercredi, mais qu'en est-il du Sénat? Avez-vous des indications là-dessus?
Il faudra demander au Sénat. Monsieur Moreau, je suis certain ça va être entre bonnes mains, ce projet de loi-là.
As Transport Minister, electric vehicles, are you bringing back the incentive?
We'll have more news on that to come. Yep.
So it sounds like you're bringing it back.
We'll have more news on that to come.
Trip to Washington, can you talk about your decision to go from Mr. Rubio's talks about critical minerals at a time when Donald Trump's threatening new tariffs on the air sector?
Secretary Rubio and I have a strong working relationship, and at all times in my conversations with him and other counterparts throughout the world, I'm advancing Canada's interests across three particular pillars of our foreign policy. The first being economic resilience here at home and diversifying trade relationships around the world to double non-U.S. trade over the next 10 years. The second being strong defense and security here at home, including Arctic security, which is why I am looking forward to traveling to Greenland and Copenhagen after the United States. And thirdly, to defend Canadian values, including principles of international law and international humanitarian law. So those are the three pillars of our foreign policy. Those are the basis on which I engage with counterparts all over the world. I have been invited, as other foreign ministers around the world have been invited, to go to Washington, D.C., and when I go there, I'll continue to represent Canada's interest and stand up for Canada strong every step of the way. Thank you.
For deals in critical minerals, including floor pricing.
I'm aware.
Are you open to any sort of deal when it comes to critical minerals?
We are protecting Canada's interests. We have a critical minerals strategy, and we have deep thinking relating to protecting Canada's economic security. In fact, I'll be at committee today to ensure that I provide an explanation of the necessity for an amendment to the BIA that we are suggesting, and we really press and hope the Conservatives will agree that we will add economic security to a basis for the EIPA, that's our export control regime. So we are taking every step to defend and protect Canada's economic security, including in the BIA, and we hope that the Conservatives will be voting in favor of them. Thank you.